views expressed on this broadcast of Step by Step Towards Emotional Sobriety with Dr. Alan Berger do not necessarily reflect those of Take 12 Radio, KHLT Recovery Broadcasting, or our affiliates. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here's your host, Dr. Alan Berger, and the Monty Man.
Well, greetings all, and welcome to another, if I can get my mic right here, another fine episode of Step by Step Towards Emotional Sobriety with our friend, Dr. Alan Berger. It's good to have you with us, and it is always a privilege to know that those of you out there that are tuning in have something to say. Our email address here is take12radio@comcast.net. Please email us with your questions, your comments. Also, Dr. Berger's address is abphd@msn.com. You can follow those links right here on the webpage, also on your smartphone and your Facebook and your Twitter, and on and on and on it goes. Welcome, Dr. Berger.
Well, happy holidays, Monty.
Yeah, yes, it is. And for many of us, it is very happy. For some of us, we can't wait for it to get over. Isn't that the case?
Well, that's so true, and that's why this show on emotional sobriety is so timely in one sense, is because we're going to talk about how to hold on to yourself and be able to support yourself and stand with yourself through these holidays.
I was talking to someone that I'm very close to today, and his girlfriend, and since we've been doing this show, it's like learning a new word, right? You start hearing it everywhere. Since we've been doing this show, I'm picking up on stuff all the time. And this gentleman's girlfriend said, I want you to give me a ride home, because this guy, he just had his 16th birthday, just got his driver's license, and I don't know about California, but I know in Oregon, you cannot drive with anybody under the age of, I think it's 18, by yourself for 6 months.
Yeah, that's right.
And so she asked him, she said, well, drive me home. And he said, I can't do that. She says, well, nobody will find out. And he says, but I'll know. And I'm not going to do that. And she got very upset with him and isn't talking to him, hasn't talked to him all day long. And I'm watching this couple as they and they're very young, but I'm watching as they communicate with each other and stuff. And I got to tell you, man, I'm like, man, this is a person that if her boyfriend doesn't respond the way she wants him to respond in every circumstances, whether it doesn't matter how minor or how major, she is not okay. Yep.
She has a lot of rules about what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
For her to feel loved and to feel a connection with him.
And I'm watching something
about that.
It's so sad.
Big thing that, yeah, it is sad. It's sad because she really misses him, and she really misses the incredible job he was doing in honoring himself and taking care of himself, and not giving in to her pressure.
Right. I
mean, that says a lot about him in terms of who he is as a person, and that he's got a solid sense of himself, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so send us forth on this journey.
One of the way I thought we could get into this tonight is, everybody's probably familiar with the fact that I've written 12 Stupid Things That Mess Up Recovery, and I'm really pleased to say it's staying in the top 20 books, and right now I think it's like number 3 on one of the Amazon bestseller lists and number 9 on another one. So it's
congratulations.
A very, very popular book, and it really, really is helping a lot of people. But I thought it would be kind of fun and tongue-in-cheek, but I think at the same time helpful if we talk about 12 stupid things that people can do to mess up the holidays. and what they could do if they choose not to mess it up, how they can cure those situations. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the first 6 of them before the break, and then we'll do the last 6 after the break.
Super.
All right, here's number 1. Everybody get ready. next time we can play some Christmas music or something.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here it goes. All right. We're going to take this holiday as an opportunity to point out the character defects of your family members, since they're going to give you ample opportunities to do so.
Point out the character defects of your family members.
That's right. That's stupid thing number one. And, of course, they're going to be just so glad to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Time to have a group therapy session, right?
Some of them are expecting it.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the kind of craziness that goes on in families, right? There's no bounds.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so important. You know, I heard a very wise man once say that keep your mouth shut, especially when you know you're right about something.
Oh, I like that.
When you want to point out the character defect to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I really encourage, if you don't want to mess up your holidays, keep quiet about everybody else's shortcomings, especially when you know you're right. You know, there may be some time to talk about that, and I encourage you to approach someone and say, you know, I do want to address something with you at some point. Christmas and the holidays are not a time to do that.
Right. Very good.
That was number one. Number two, expecting this year to be different than all the others. So what happens in your family is there's drama and a crisis, and you feel like you're walking on the set of a Jerry Springer show, and then you think that somehow, magically, this year is going to be different. Well, you're setting yourself up. There's no reason that it's going to be different, and that's one of the ways that people set themselves up. That somehow, that this year everybody's going to be able to regulate themselves and modulate themselves and to be different than they are. And, you know, the truth is that nothing is going to be different if nothing's changed.
Right. So if you're expecting things to be different this year and then people don't act any different, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing you can do, and this is an important thing, is to think about, well, what do we have control over and what don't we have control over? And that's a part of emotional sobriety money, is to really be able to focus on what we have control over. So in that situation, you don't have control over how anybody else behaves, but you certainly have some control over how you behave.
Mm-hmm.
What you do, and how you deal with that situation, how you handle it, how you respond to it, that's all within your control. So it wouldn't be a setup if you said, this year I'm going to see what I can do to deal with this situation from the best in me rather than from the worst in me.
Yeah. Good one. And one of those may be, I will keep my mouth shut when I know I'm right.
Hey, listen, that's a good one. That's one that I need to practice. Sure of that. We'll get my wife on the next show, and she'll let everybody know about that one.
Yeah, but see, my excuse is, but this is my job.
No, that would be interesting, huh? We put our wives on the show, and everybody would really know about emotional sobriety.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
All right, number three. Lose yourself in making everyone else happy. You see, this is the time of the year that the people that are codependent are in so much joy because they have the official authority, right?
Yeah.
Of making everybody else happy, right? They go out and buy presents for everybody, do everything for everybody else, and this time of year they're supposed to do it. But look, it's so important. You know, don't lose yourself. You know, don't make people more important than you. You can make yourself as important as others, but not more or less. And so this is a time of year, if you're struggling with that issue in general, to do your best to hold on to yourself, to keep a sense of yourself when you're doing this stuff, and stop treating other people the way you want them to treat you. Start treating yourself the way you want to be treated, instead of setting up a situation where you're hoping if you do all this thing for everybody else, then somehow they're going to do it for you.
Right, because the truth of the matter is, you do not have the ability to make everyone happy in the way you think they should be happy.
Yeah, right on, Monty.
Yeah.
That is so right on, man. That is just right on. in terms of what we want people to understand.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before we get to number 4.
Okay, go ahead.
This would fall. This number 3 would be like the person who says, "Well, I wasn't going to buy any gifts this year, but I bought one for Fred, so now I need to buy one for Jane. Or I bought one for the 12-year-old, so now I have to buy one for the 6-year-old." And so what happens is they become smothered by their own expectations of themselves, having to please everyone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They put so much pressure on themselves to make everybody else happy, they get lost. And then they start to really, really get nuts, right?
Right.
I mean, they start reacting, and they justify it because look what I'm trying to do for everybody else.
Yeah, and then when people don't respond the way they think they should, then they get really mad.
Listen, what have we been talking to people in this show? Is that when you do something for somebody else, you do it because you want to do it, not because you're trying to get them to appreciate you, to do something in return.
Right.
And if you can't give something with an open hand, then don't bother.
Don't bother.
We'll be talking about that in a little bit. But here's number 4.
Okay.
This is a stupid thing that'll mess up this season, is to accept uncritically or to swallow whole someone else's notion of what this time of year is supposed to be. You see, we can get so seduced into the commercialism of this time of year, and that forget to make it more personal. At its best, and I mean that sincerely, this is a time when we reconnect with family. And we're able to really express our love and our appreciation for who they are. And that's, to me, when this holiday season is the best. But when we get lost and make it about what somebody else thinks it should be, rather than keeping it more personal, we're setting ourselves up for trouble.
Then we start people-pleasing again. Well, I've got to believe like they believe. Yeah.
Or it's accepting, it's not having this critical thinking, or one of the things that we talk a lot about in terms of emotional sobriety is this idea of autonomy, is of keeping a sense of yourself. So regardless of what other people are thinking that this time of year is supposed to be, you personalize it. Let your concept of the holidays guide your behavior and what you want to do. I know some people now are saying, instead of getting into all this consumerism and this, and buying gifts and spending ridiculous amounts of money, especially when times are hard, families are saying, let's find some other way to express our feelings towards each other. Or let's limit the amount of money we're going to spend. Or let's draw names from a hat to keep it down to a more reasonable size. And that's okay. And I don't want anybody to feel bad about needing to do that to deal with their situation. Some families have decided not to have gift-giving anymore because they don't need anything.
Right.
But it's a ridiculous thing, and it's more important to just sit around and connect with each other.
You bet. You bet. In fact, I want to encourage the listeners, if you have somebody in your life that has informed you that they're not going to give gifts anymore, or maybe not this year or whatever, but they're just not doing it anymore, applaud them. Don't judge them. Don't feel bad. It's not against you, because I know several people that are doing that. They're taking care of themselves, Dr. Berger, and they're doing it, some of them for the first time in their lives, and they are just not in a position to be spending money on others right now because they're putting themselves first.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're trying to take care of themselves, and they're paying attention to their situation.
Right.
And you're right. That's to be applauded, not criticized.
You bet.
That's to be encouraged and to really be appreciated, and not to shame somebody for that. Or to take it personal, like you said. I mean, that's the other thing, I hope our listeners have been learning from us, Monty, is that our emotional dependency, our lack of maturity, makes us take a lot of things personal.
Yeah.
And it's not personal. The more that we can understand that it's not personal, the more personal we can be.
Yeah. Amen. I love it. Number 5.
All right, number 5. Number 5. Expect others to take better care of us than we take care of ourselves. We think this is a time of year where people are going to be caring. And so if we're out there and breaking our back in the kitchen, thinking somebody's going to come in and just spontaneously say, can I help you? Or why don't you go sit down? If you're tired and you're overwhelmed and you're burned out,
Go sit down.
for help, go sit down.
Yeah.
Say, would somebody mind helping in the kitchen? I'm really tired right now. I need a break. And put that out. It's okay for you to ask for what you need.
Mm.
Instead of sitting there and getting mad and angry that nobody's figuring it out.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people do, and it sets them up terribly.
My mother used to tell me, bless her heart, I would say, Mom, what's good? Because I would call her once a week when I was in college. Call her once a week. And then if I missed a week, right, I would call her, and I knew what was coming, Dr. Berger.
Yeah.
And I could hear it in her voice, and I would say, Mom, what's going on? And she would say, well, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, boy, that's a deadly one.
People do. People expect us to read their minds. And sometimes we're just selfish and self-centered enough that we don't read people's minds. We need somebody to say, hey, I need some help. And people don't understand that it's okay to ask for help. But if you're sitting around expecting people to read your mind, you're going to be sadly disappointed.
That's right. That's right. So what's the cure for this? Accept personal responsibility for your comfort and your serenity. Ask for what you need. Ask for help if you need it. It's okay. Doesn't mean you're less than. In fact, to me, those people that ask for help when they need it, it shows that they're really more than they are if they're not asking for help.
Sure.
So here's number 6, and then we'll take a little break.
All right.
Accept gifts or help that is not given with an open hand. So if you let somebody give you something and somebody's giving it to you begrudgingly, you're not doing yourself a favor and you're not doing them a favor. Because what happens with that is there becomes a lot of resentment. There's usually strings attached. You're not able to be grateful and appreciative of it. I remember one year, this husband, I was working with this couple, he thought he was doing his wife this wonderful thing. He went out and he bought her a Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, Lord.
And, anybody else would think, my God, you're going to be happy. Well, she had, 4 kids. And what she would have rather had would have been a Dodge Caravan. The Mercedes-Benz. It wasn't functional for her, and she was more concerned with getting the kids around. So when he comes home and hands her these cars, thinking it's going to be a December to remember, I guess that's a Lexus commercial. Is what happened is she was unhappy. And he got outraged. How can you be unhappy? I bought you a Mercedes. But you see, when we don't give something to somebody that they really want, and when we don't pay attention to who that person is, and we give them a gift, and then with this string attached to it, you've got to appreciate it. Well, if he wanted her appreciation, and this is what finally happened, he took the car back. And then he got her the Caravan, and then she could be appreciative. And then it was a cleaner transaction. The other way it went down, he bought the car that he wanted her to have, not the car that she wanted.
Or maybe the car.
So there wasn't an open hand in it. He wasn't giving her freely. He was giving her something with the expectation that she should like what he wanted to give her.
Maybe he wanted the car.
If you want to be appreciated, make sure you give somebody something they want.
And I've got, before we go to our break, I got to tell you, I got to tell on myself here. When Marcia and I got married, it was customary in our family that the groom bought the bride-to-be a wedding present. And so I bought her, oh, Lord have mercy, I'm going to say it. I bought her a CB radio.
Oh, Monty, oh, my, you love those gadgets.
Now this, yes, I do. Now, this was my reasoning.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
She's going to need, because she would commute to work about 30 minutes, to work 30 minutes home on the highway. If she gets herself into a pickle, she can get on the CB radio and call for help. This is before we had so many, everybody had cell phones. So that was my justification. So when she opened the present and she saw the CB radio and she saw how quickly I gave the reasoning behind it, right? Her remark to me was, and she said it in a very loving way, and she patted me on the knee. She says, "This is a wonderful gift for you, isn't it?" Because
there she goes. She got it, didn't she?
Yeah. Because I was concerned for her safety, but when in thinking about that, my mind went right to my toys. My toys will help her. So I was trying to control even what I was given to her. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
That's right. Yeah, we call those thank you for nothing, darling gifts.
Okay.
Thank you for nothing, darling.
Yeah, really. And you know what? It's still sitting in the garage.
That's right.
All right, folks, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to listen to Dr. Berger share with us 6 more things that'll make up the 12 stupid things to mess up the holidays when we return. Hey, it's the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio. Did you know that In the Rooms is the world's largest online social networking tool, facilitating meetings among like-minded people and assisting in their recovery? You can upload pictures and videos, chat online, attend meetings with people all around the world, write journal entries about your experiences, create blogs, forums, and communicate with people in the global recovery community and share your experience, strength, and hope. When you register within the Rooms, you get free access to daily meditations, speaker tapes, daily online video AA and NA meetings, and there's so much more. Did you know there are close to 300,000 members who are willing to share their experience, strength, and hope with you? So what are you waiting for? Visit www.intherooms.com and register for free and begin your global recovery fellowship experience today.
Hi, I'm Dean Christensen. I want to wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in 2014. And if you write, well, anything in the coming year, keep me in mind for your copy editing services. I also do voiceovers for video and internet narrations and radio commercials. So send me an email at deanedits@att.net. There's no obligation for inquiring. And I invite you to read my blog, Why a Duck, about English grammar, word usage, writing, and reading. The web address is deanyaduck.blogspot.com. Thanks, and God bless you.
All right, and Dean's email address again is deanedits@att.net. Somebody asked me, several people have been bugging me and asking me, who are the voices for some of the promotionals, the PSAs, the disclaimers, and so forth. I'm just going to tell you, Wade Coffey has been with us for 9 years. He does most of our disclaimers. My wonderful wife Marcia, she does a couple. Roger Heeman, a recovery recording artist out of Florida, he does some, and Dean Christensen does some. And everybody can, if you want to contact those people and talk to them, go to facebook.com/Take12Radio. They are all friends of mine, and check them out. I'm going to list those names on the website if you're interested. They do this stuff for fun and for free. It would cost us a small fortune to hire somebody to do voiceovers, and some of these guys are pros at it. I just felt like I needed to give a shout out to those guys.
That's terrific money, and there's a lot of people that support you and donate their time freely to help.
Yeah, you bet.
Take 12 Radio, man, and it's great to have so many friends out there.
It really, really is. Especially when we were living a life.
You deserve it, man. You're a good friend to people too, Monty.
Well, thank you, Dr. Berger. And I was saying, especially when we lived a life where, by all rights, people should have been running away from us.
Right. That's right.
And now we have so many friends. All right. So we're talking about.
All right, number 7, huh?
Number 7 of the 12 stupid things to mess up the holidays.
Deny or resist feelings from your past or current situations that surface, such as resentments, grief, or disappointments. See, a lot of people don't take the time to recognize what they're experiencing. In fact, in my new book, The 12 Hidden Rewards of Making Amends, one of the things I talk a lot about is that when we work the steps, one of the gifts that we're given, one of the benefits that occur is that we're able to stay in close contact with our experience.
Mm-hmm.
By staying in close contact with our experience, Monty, we can start to learn from what we're doing. So when these emotions surface, it's so important to embrace them. Now, like I said before, this may not be the time to get into them and to deal with them, but it's very important to acknowledge them. And so to be able to experience them and note that when they surface like this, they're telling you that there's some unfinished business in your life that you need to take care of. You know, they're really like signposts, right? Saying, hey, pay attention over here.
Yeah.
You got to go in this direction for a little bit in order to help yourself, you know, feel better and to be more whole.
So we shouldn't listen to
that. A lot
that.
of people deny those, and that messes things up because, you know, what happens is when you stuff these things down and you don't attend to them, come out. They're going to come outside.
Yeah,
they're
right.
Eat out. They're going to seep out.
And a lot of people hear that voice. A lot of people hear that voice that says, "You shouldn't feel that way. It's the holidays. Don't feel that way."
That's right. That's the pressure too that we all feel, right?
Yeah, right.
Don't feel that way. It's the holidays, but you can recognize that you feel that way, and you can say, "Look, this is something I need to deal with." If you're somebody that journals, put it in your journal. Come back to it after the holidays. Deal with it. Because it's very important to honor yourself in this way and to take care of these issues.
All right, very good. Number 8.
Number 8, keep yourself in a state of perpetual motion. Keep moving. Don't ever sit down. Don't hold still. Because if you do, you're going to start to feel what's going on with you. So a lot of us avoid ourselves by getting so busy, by keeping ourselves so busy, by just running nonstop, instead of holding still long enough to start to experience what's really going on. I know for a lot of us, this holiday season, while it's very joyful, also reflects some loss.
Sure.
We lose members of our family, and we become aware at this time of year that those members of our family are no longer with us. So in terms of all the joy, there's always that other shadow side, which is some of the sadness of the loss that we've experienced. And if you hold still, you might find yourself grieving about a grandfather or a grandmother that you loved that's not going to be joining you this year, or a mother or a father, or for some families that have lost a child, especially to this disease. You and I know that this disease has robbed so many parents, their children, and robbed them of that experience of growing old and seeing their children grow old. And it's such a tragedy that with many families that have had to face this thing, and it's horrible. This disease is such a thief.
Yeah.
So cruel.
Yeah, and Lord, I think that we sometimes live in fear that if we feel those things, we're going to ruin the holidays. But in actuality, what may very well happen is if you let yourself feel what's really going on, you may end up having one of the best times of year you've ever had. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because it's real. See, that what we keep talking about is for people to get real, for people to really embrace themselves and to honor themselves and to really be committed to their authenticity.
Do you hear, Dr. Berger, do you hear in working with people, do you hear the statement, yes, but in our family, we just don't do that. We don't open up. Yeah, yeah.
And what I tell them is, that's too bad. You should. I mean, it's like, how's that working for you, right?
Right.
It goes back to that old
right.
thing. It's like, how is that really working for you? And there's a lot of families that say, God, do we really have to give up this way that we've been functioning? And, what I tell them is, I don't pull any punches. I say, that's something that's worth giving up. If something is not working or meeting your needs in a low-quality way, you're selling yourself short. I was at this great conference recently. It's called the Evolution of Psychotherapy. It's the largest psychotherapy conference in the world. And one of the masters of family therapy, Dr. Salvador Minuchin, who's now 92 years old,
Wow.
was there, and he was speaking, and he was talking about this intervention. And he looks at families when they're dealing with certain problems and stuff, and he'll look at them and just say, he'll look at, let's say, a father in the family and says, "You're wrong." The father looked at him and said, "Well, I'm sorry, excuse me? Aren't you a therapist? What are you telling me I'm wrong for? Therapists aren't supposed to do that." The guy will look at him, and Dr. Minuchin will look at him and say, "No, you're wrong." He says, "Let me tell you what I mean when I say you're wrong. You're wrong in believing that all you are is this problem. You are so much more than this problem, and you don't know that, and that's where you're wrong, is not knowing that there's so much more to you than what you're doing here, and the way you're behaving and the way you're dealing with this situation."
Yeah.
And isn't that so true for each and every alcoholic and addict that's out there that's still suffering?
I think
There's so much more to them than just this disease.
I think the group's called 10th Avenue North. They have a song, and part of it is, "You are more than the choices that you made. You are more than your past mistakes."
Wow.
And we, especially in our 12-step support meetings, sometimes we get caught up in this thing that we are defined by our illness. And to that I say, no.
We need to respect the fact,
Yeah.
Right, that we have this illness, but don't let it define you.
Yeah, right on.
Let it influence your life, and always we have to pay attention to our vulnerabilities, to our addiction. That's no question about it. But we are much more than this illness.
Yeah, you bet. Number 9.
All right, we're at number 9. And this is a variation on number 2. Number 2 was expecting that this year to be different than any other. Number 9 says expect your family to be different than they are, hoping that somehow they're going to be different because of this magical time of year. This is a false hope, Monty. What I encourage people to do is when they start acting the way they always act, instead of being upset about it, say to yourself, of course, this is the way they are, and this is the way that things are right now, and I can learn from all of these experiences, and I can learn how to deal with this in a better way.
Yeah.
Who they are doesn't have to determine how I am and how I deal with the situation. I can get grounded in some principles and deal with this situation, with the best possible attitude that I can discover.
So if Aunt Gertrude, if we say to our spouse, "Well, Aunt Gertrude's coming over for Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or celebration of lights or whatever," and we know that she's going to be pulling the same old stuff, instead of looking at her like that and expecting her to do something differently, we can take a golden opportunity at that point to determine that this year, we're going to respond differently.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
We're not going to let that person and who that person is determine how we're going to be.
Yeah.
We get to do that. Remember I said before, we got to pay attention to what we can control, and what I can control is my response. I can control my attitude. I can control my effort. I can control my honesty. I can control how I deal with the situation, but I can't control what the other people are doing.
Do you think that how we say, but Aunt Gertrude, when she's around me, she just makes me so irritated?
That's right.
Do you think that we say that because we really believe that she's causing the problem? We don't really understand?
Oh, yeah. Listen, that's one of the things we've covered, is that when your differentiation is low, then other people make you feel a certain way because you've made them so important.
Yeah.
So you don't have a sense of yourself. Your sense of yourself is derived by who they are and how they treat you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That means that, if they do something a certain way, they're going to make you angry, right? If they're not living up to your expectations.
All right. So if you're expecting your family to be different, check in with us. Let us know how that went.
Right. Listen, expect that, but that'll be one of the things that'll mess up your holiday.
Yeah. Number 10.
Number 10, believing to have family problems indicate that there's something wrong.
Okay, say that again.
What we've been believing that problems in your family mean that there's something wrong with your family.
Oh.
Problems don't mean that there's something wrong. It means something's right. Families are supposed to create problems. It's a natural phenomena that happens. Problems occur because of who we're not yet. So when a problem arises, it's kind of putting a spotlight on an area that shows us where we need to grow and develop. Families and relationships are people growers. So there's always going to be conflict, and from that conflict, we're going to be able to see what we need to do to get a better hold of ourselves.
Yeah.
To be able to support ourselves better, to be able to take a healthier perspective about things. And so seeing a problem in a family is telling you that there's something wrong, you're missing the boat. Saying something's right, and your job is to start to unpack the lesson, to extricate from that situation the lesson that you need to learn to help you identify your next step in your development. So if you use that this year, you're going to be getting a bigger gift, and you're going to be giving yourself the best gift you can give yourself. And that's the gift of awareness and the gift of growth.
Just because there's pain doesn't mean there's fault.
That's right. We'll say that again, Monty. I like that.
Yeah, just because there's pain doesn't mean there's fault. It just came to my mind. I was thinking, wow, just because something hurts doesn't mean that there's fault there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, number 11 is kind of, we talked about it with number 6, but I kind of bled these two things together. So let me clarify them again. Number 6 was, it would be stupid for you to just accept gifts that are not given with an open hand. If somebody gives you something and they don't want to, don't take it, because they're not doing you any favors. Now, at the same time, this number 11 is a good one. It says, if we give a thank you for nothing, darling gift and expect gratitude or for that person to graciously accept a thank you for nothing gift, we're setting ourselves up.
You bet.
A gift is not going to be appreciated unless the gift is given and coordinated with who the person is. Now, I can give you some examples of that. When I was growing up, and this used to drive me crazy. So I grew up in Chicago. I was on the Northwest Side, and I hung out with the cool guys, the greasers. Right now, the other group was the dupers. They thought they were cool, too, but I thought the greasers, the group I was in, was the cooler group. Of course, the dupers thought they were. But the greasers, what we wore, and what made us so cool, is we wore these Italian knit sweaters. And you could go down to Maxwell Street in Chicago, and this is back in 1965 or so. You could go to Maxwell Street, and you could get one of these beautiful Italian knit sweaters for like $20.
Wow.
So these were like great things. So everybody that was in a greaser wore these Italian knit sweaters. They were really sharp looking. I mean, I thought we were just strutting and cool when we were wearing these things.
Mm-hmm.
So at Christmas, my mom knew how crazy I was about these things. Well, she would go to, I think it was called Woolworths, and she would buy these $5 polyester golf shirts for me. Well, polyester wasn't cool. Wool knit Italian sweaters were cool. Not these $5 polyester golf shirts. So I'd get one of these things, or she'd give me a tie. I didn't wear friggin' ties. I was a kid. What are you giving me a tie for? When do you see me wear ties to school? I don't wear friggin' ties. I don't wear polyester shirts. So I would have these polyester shirts and ties in my drawer, and I was expected to be grateful because, after all, it is the thought that counts. So what I was thinking is the thought that counts, but can't you make your thought a little bit more sensitive and relevant to who I am instead of giving me stuff that I'm not interested in? So I felt invisible. And so it was very hard to appreciate gifts that weren't given to me. She was just given gifts because she had to give gifts. So that's what I learned this lesson, and that's why I have such a pet peeve about this. I try to give things to people that they want.
She gave you a CB.
Not that I want to give them, but that they want.
That they want. She gave you a CB radio, buddy.
Hey, you knew my mom, didn't you? Talk to my mom before you bought that gift. Stay away from my mom, Monty. She's not going to point you in the right way. All right. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
I've come to peace with her with that.
Right on, bud.
So here's the last one, and I'm going to let you say more about this, but I'll put in my 2 cents too. And it says, accept uncritically someone else's notion of God. God is, and when our relationship to our higher power is personal, and we personalize it, then God is going to have a lot more to do and say with your life. But when you're taking on somebody else's idea of God, it's not going to work for you because it's not yours.
That is, oh man, that is so true. And I've talked about this before, about our relationship, Marcia's and I's relationship with our 2 boys. Yep. You know, we raised them the way we believed God wanted us to raise them. But when it came, I mean, we took them with us to church. We did all the motions, right?
Right.
But we sat them down, and parents, hear me, really. I don't care what faith you are. Listen to what I'm telling you. If your kids, your spouse, your best buddy, whoever it is that you're trying to control, if they don't develop their own personal relationship with God, it's always going to be yours that they're leaning on. And someday you're not going to be around. And someday you may really tick them off. And you don't want them blaming God for whatever, you're doing. Here's the deal. You've got to let people develop their own relationship with their higher power. If you don't, it's not theirs, and it will never work.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, especially as a parent, but we had to say, okay, guys, you're at the age now where you need to develop and nurture a relationship with their Creator that's outside of mom and dad.
Yeah.
And it's so important. And this thing is a bone of contention for a lot of people around the holidays, right?
It sure is.
You should do this, and you should do this, and you should do that. Yeah, I don't know any way to get that. Doesn't attract me when people start telling.
That would be another good thing we could put down. That could be number 13. Shoot everybody to death at the holidays.
Yeah, shoot everybody to death. You bet.
That's going to mess it up too, man, big time.
And here, this really focuses on emotional sobriety because here's the deal. In our case, with our 2 boys, they have stayed with the faith they were raised in. But it was important, very important for us. What if they hadn't? Are we going to be not okay?
That's right. That's right.
The deal of it is, learning how to be emotionally sober means that if somebody does not go down the path that you direct them towards, you're still okay, and your relationship is still intact.
That's right. And I truly believe that is that in a healthy family that there's going to be a respect for differences and not pressure for everybody to think and feel the same way. And that's what we're striving for, is so that there's room enough for all of us. And if we could all live like that, Monty, this would be such a better world.
You bet. And we'd be so much more open-minded to other people's ideas.
Oh, God, wouldn't we, man? We really would. Now, I'm sending you those 12 stupid things that mess up the holidays.
Awesome.
You can post it on the
website.
On the website, so that people can go ahead and download it. I just want to remind everybody that there's still some time. Hazelden has a deal for my 3 books. If you purchase all 3 of them from Hazelden and you put the code Burger20 in, they'll take 20% off of the total price of those books. So it's a great deal, and it's a great collection of resources for recovery. So
So if they go to Hazelden.com, right?
they go to Hazelden,
Yeah.
Hazelden Bookstore, and they can go ahead and then order those books and put Burger20 in, and the promo code, and they'll get 20% off. So it's a great gift for people. And, Monty and I look forward to getting together with all of you next year.
Yeah, right on. And, folks, if there's any time of year you need to put away the sword, do it now. Come on, drop the sword, because, if you cut off the Roman's ear, God's just going to put it back on. I mean, really. And besides, who's got time? Really? I mean, who's got time to just be ripping on each other? Come on. I mean, we got enough problems going on as it is. I mean, my gollies, I can't figure out why my brand new lights on my tree keep going out. That's my big issue. I don't need any people issues. Dr. Berger, thank you so much for another fine
great show as usual, Monty. I love you, man, and God bless you and your family.
You too, my friend. Stay on the air, because I've got a question for you. Okay, folks, don't forget our email address on it. Go to our contact links. Go to the links here on this page or on your smartphone, and please visit Dr. Berger's website at abphd.com. And until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man, along with Dr. Alan Berger. We're wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.